it's your girl from Philly. Welcome to another episode of Handcrafted Wines, where we make great wine from home the fun and easy way. Before we get started, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any episodes. In today's episode, I'm going to have a little fun. It's my very first tasting episode, and I wanted to get an idea. It's only been 8 weeks out or so, but I wanted to see where our very first wines were as far as alcohol by volume, taste, clarity, acidity, sweetness, body, all of those things. So I just wanted to try them out and see where we are at this time. The very first one that I'm going to try, I'm actually not going to give a gravity reading because I've already back sweetened it. So I knew what the gravity reading was, and this batch is at 11.8% alcohol. Then I added sugar, so that changes the gravity reading altogether. But I will do a taste test of this. This is my pineapple wine that I did in the very first episode, or the second episode. The very first episode I did as winemaking basics, but the second episode I made pineapple wine, and that's this wine. So if you take a look at it, I've racked it twice. So there's very little, if any, sediment in the bottom of this batch, but it's not completely clear. So that means it still needs some time to age for clarity. Now let's take a taste of it. The very first thing I'm going to do is get a sense of the bouquet. So I'm going to smell it. Now, what's amazing about this is the very first thing you smell is alcohol. But I personally know this only 11.8% batch, so it's not high in alcohol, but it's the very first thing I pick up. The second thing I pick up is very, very fresh smelling pineapple. I used fresh pineapple in this batch, and the freshness came through. Yeah, it's really nice. It's kind of just like you just cut a brand new, perfectly ripe pineapple wide open, and it has all those qualities, those green notes, that kind of grass note that you get when you first cut a fresh pineapple. It smells amazing. But the alcohol scent is actually paramount. It's the very first thing that you notice when smelling it, which means this batch needs to sit and age for a while so it can mellow out that alcohol taste. Now this is kind of low, but I do have more that I'm going to be able to fill up to the neck so it doesn't oxidize from the oxygen. Because as we know, oxygen is our friend in the beginning of fermentation, but at the end of fermentation, it's our enemy. So this will get filled up after this episode, and it will be completely filled. Now I'm going to taste. So this is actually, it tastes a little different than it did when I back sweetened it a week ago. So it's actually the pineapple taste is dominant. I don't get a lot of tannin from it, but I do get acidity, which is common with a white wine. This pineapple wine is considered a white wine, and you do want acidity with a white wine. I did add tannin to the batch, but it doesn't really come through a lot in the flavor. As far as body, this wine has a very good mouthfeel. It's going to improve in time. It's going to mellow out, and it's going to get more of a smoothness to it. But right now, it does have body. It's not a thin wine. I can actually feel some substance when I sip on it. Now, when I first tasted this wine last week, it was completely dry, which tells me it didn't ferment to total dry, but it tasted totally dry. It had no sweetness to it. I'm going to take a look and see what the original gravity reading was for this wine. So for the pineapple, it was originally 1.070, and the expected ABV was 11. So we got everything we were supposed to get out of it, which was good. And I would say this is a successful wine, but I would say that it needs some aging. This will benefit from just sitting in the back of a closet somewhere and just giving it a chance to mature. That's what happens when you drink wine. But I would say it is a good wine. I'm going to put that one to the side, and we're going to bring on the next wine. This wine is the third episode of the show, which is Red Apple Hibiscus. I am going to test the gravity on this one. It has not been sweetened. I tested it once after the first racking, but I just want to see where it is right now. So it's gone through its second racking. There is some sediment at the bottom. There's enough for me to rack it off. I don't want it to mature on that sediment, so it'll have another racking. But I am noticing that there's a lot of bubbles with it. As there's a lot of, I'm going to see if it's carbonated, because there's a lot of bubbles. Now the bubbles might just be malolactic fermentation, because as far as the initial fermentation, it was completely done. Yeah, that's interesting. So I'm going to take a sample of it before we actually taste test it. Did you hear that? So it's still a lot going on with it. I can smell it from here, and it smells really lovely. And it looks like there is carbonation in it, but it looks like it fizzles out. So, oh, that smells great. So I'm just going to check the specific gravity of this batch and see where we are. Oh. Well, I'm going to put a little bit back in the vessel. There we go. And sanitize our hydrometer. I had to wait till the bubbles went away. Okay. So it's currently at let's try this again. It's currently at 1.000. I'm going to put this back in so that it doesn't get too much oxygen. And after I rack this again, I'm going to top it off with more. If you remember, we made this with concentrated frozen apple juice and hibiscus tea. So I'm going to get more frozen concentrated apple juice just to bring it up to the top after I rack it again. So that was 1.00. I'm going to Brewer's Friend just to get an accurate reading. And I said the original gravity was, for the red apple, 1.090 was initial gravity. So 1.090 minus 1.000. Phone's acting kind of funny. Here we go. 11.81%. So it's really similar to the pineapple. So I'm going to taste it just to see what that tastes like. First, I'm going to smell it. Now, this is very nice, but it doesn't smell like fresh apples. The apple comes through, but it tastes more like a cooked apple, like apple pie apple without cinnamon. But that's very nice. Mm. The very first thing that I know, that's really good. The very first thing that I notice is it has loads of tannin, which I love. I feel tannin in the back of my mouth and in the center of my tongue, um, which that's wonderful. It's not as acidic as the pineapple. It does have some acidity to it, but it's not as acidic as the pineapple was. Now, as far as clarity, it's pretty clear. It's sitting on a little bit of leaves, so I do want to make sure that I remove that so that it's just the wine. The apple comes through very brightly. I don't taste anything that well, I won't say that. Let me try it again. Yeah, it's hints of sorrel, which is what hibiscus is. It's sorrel tea. It's hints of sorrel, but more than anything, the apple comes through. But the body of it is a little bit lighter than the pineapple. It has a lighter body, but it's a good wine. I mean, it's very refreshing. As far as acidity, not as much. Um, Sweetness, it has some residual sugar. It's not bone dry, which I think if it had went down to 0.90 or 0.090, that would have meant it was completely bone dry. So it's not bone dry. I actually could drink it like this. I don't think I'm going to back sweeten it. I'm just going to raise the level with some reconstituted apple juice. But other than that, this is a very, very tasty wine. This is excellent. But I'm amazed at how strongly the apple comes through on this one. Now, the last one that we're going to try, and I'm going to test the specific gravity of this batch as well. This is our peach sweet tea. This was the third wine that we created on this channel. And I'm really curious to see what type of notes this has. All right, we're at 250 milliliters. It's a little foamy as well. Well, this is fermented drier. This is at 1.100. So let's take a look. The peach sweet tea was 1.090 at the beginning, and the estimated ABV was 13%. I don't think it made it to that, but we'll see. 1.090, and okay, it's at 1.100. Oh no, I'm reading this incorrectly. 1.010. There we go. So we're actually at 10.5%, which is almost at 11%. So none of these came out to be very strong wines, but it's okay. So far they've been very delicious. I'm going to put this back and I'll top this off with probably just black tea. I'm going to see whether or not it needs to be sweetened. So the first thing I'm going to do is see what the bouquet is like. Oh, that's actually beautiful. That's lovely. It's the peaches come through and it's very strong as far as the peaches. And if you remember, I made this batch with frozen peaches and black tea. So I think it's something about the frozen fruit or the frozen juices. They give you more of a more matured scent. So this doesn't smell green like the pineapple does, but it does smell young. But it's very, very lovely. Now, if you look, this batch isn't very clear and it's quite a bit of sediment on the bottom. I'll probably have to rack this another 2 more times before I'll feel comfortable in letting it age. But let's see what it tastes like. Mmm. It's very young. It's very green. It has some very immature characters to it, but the tannin is on point. It's very rich in tannin, and that's because it's black tea. Mm. Yeah, the tannin is amazing. The peach flavor comes through. There's a sour undertone, and I know that's just because the wine is a very new wine. This is the youngest out of the 3 batches, and this was made on February 10th. It's now April 11th. So it's just been 2 months since this batch was created. So it's rather new. But I can see this shaping up to being an amazing wine. The fact that the peach and the tea hold their own so well in this is amazing. Not a lot of alcohol scent, and you know that it's wine, but it's not a strong alcohol taste. Though I think out of the 3, I'm feeling this one a little bit more than I felt those. Um, I'm actually getting a little hot. Yeah, I think this can shape up to be an excellent, excellent wine. It needs to calm down a little bit. It needs to get a little bit more aging to it. The body is on point as well. The mouthfeel of it is very good. It's not a watery wine, so it has good body to it. I think it more than anything, this just needs to age a little bit more. So there we go. These are our 3 first wines at Philly Girl Handcrafted. I'm probably going to finish at least these 2 of them. I don't know. The pineapple is nice, but I think I like the dryness of these 2. So I'll be finishing those. But that's all for today. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you have any, ideas of how to make these in a different way, or if you'd like to try them, I would love to hear that as well. Well, I want to thank you again for spending time with me. It's just been great. Please remember again to like, share, subscribe, and click the notification bell. This channel is growing, and I have you to thank for that, but I'd like to see it grow a little bit more. But other than that, you have a wonderful day, guys, and thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.